Have you ever felt so invisible, so utterly alone, that you wondered if even God had forgotten your name? Tonight, I want to share a story that proves, beyond a shadow of a doubt, that in your quietest, most hidden moment of pain, His eyes are fixed directly on you. Meet Martha. Martha, at 62, was a master of efficiency. Her home in a quiet, tree-lined suburb of Ohio was immaculate. The floors shone, and her small kitchen always smelled of vanilla and roasting coffee, even when no one was coming to share it. Since her husband, Arthur, passed away 5 years ago, Martha had built a fortress of routine to protect herself from the terrifying silence of an empty house. She attended church every Sunday, sat in the same pew, and smiled sweetly at the young families, carefully tucking her own profound loneliness into her well-worn leather purse along with her tithing envelope. But this past winter, the silence began to feel heavy. It wasn't an aggressive sadness, it was a slow, seeping grayness. The sensory details she once loved, the sound of the morning news, the scent of fresh sheets, felt distant, like she was experiencing them through a thick fog. Her relationship with her son in California was loving but strained by miles and busy lives. Their weekly video calls were filled with surface-level updates that left her feeling emptier, not fuller. She began to stay in her pajamas longer each morning. Her Bible remained closed on the nightstand for days at a time. The faith that had sustained her through cancer and widowhood was still there, a quiet ember, but it lacked the warmth to light the gathering gloom. She felt hidden, and she feared she was becoming forgotten. One Thursday evening, after another standard 10-minute call with her grandson, Martha hung up the phone. The silence that rushed back into the room was like a physical weight. She looked around her pristine living room, her quiet sanctuary, and for the first time it didn't feel safe. It felt like a cage. The sensory details of her life, the cool linen of her favorite chair, the taste of her evening tea now seemed to emphasize her profound isolation. Martha broke. She didn't just pray, she poured out. With tears streaming down her face, she knelt by that immaculate chair. Her prayer was raw and messy. Lord, I am so lonely. I feel invisible. Did I do something wrong? Why does everyone have someone and I am just here, waiting for the day to end? Please, Father, just show me you are here. Just give me one sign that I still matter to you. She wasn't asking for a lottery win or a dramatic healing. She just wanted to know she was seen. The next afternoon, the fog still hung low. Martha, needing milk, forced herself to the grocery store. It was raining, a cold, persistent drizzle. She felt exposed and gray. As she pushed her cart down the aisle, her mind replaying the despair of her prayer, she noticed an elderly man struggling to reach a carton of oatmeal. Without thinking, Martha reached up and handed it to him. He was perhaps 80, frail, with kind, twinkling blue eyes. As he took the carton, his gaze locked onto hers. He didn't just glance, he really looked at her. He smiled, a genuine, warm smile that crinkled the skin around his eyes. "Thank you, dear," he said, his voice raspy but resonant. "I don't know many people who notice the elderly around here. You have such a kind face. And," he paused, his smile widening, "that is a truly beautiful blue cardigan you're wearing. It suits you perfectly." Martha froze. She was wearing a simple, soft knit cardigan, an old favorite she'd thrown on. But in that moment, when the world felt entirely gray and she felt unseen, this total stranger had not only accepted her help, but had complimented a simple detail of her appearance with genuine warmth. It was a tiny spark. It didn't solve her loneliness, but as she walked to her car, the cold rain didn't feel quite so biting. She felt, for the first time in months, a faint flicker of warmth in her chest. The spark from the grocery store was still in her mind when Martha went to bed on Saturday night, but the heavy silence returned as the weekend closed in. She woke up at 3 a.m. on Sunday morning, her heart racing with an inexplicable anxiety. The rain had stopped, and a dense, quiet fog blanketed the street. The house was a crypt. Loneliness, dark, cold, and absolute, pressed down on her. The temporary comfort of the stranger's smile evaporated. "It was just a coincidence," a voice whispered. "You are still alone." Martha sat upright, gasping for air. The despair was suffocating. She couldn't stay in bed. Shivering, she pulled on that same soft blue knit cardigan and walked downstairs to the silent kitchen. She didn't turn on the lights. She just sat at the table, staring out the window into the misty gray darkness. The vanilla and coffee scent of her home now felt mocking. She was an empty vessel in an empty house. There was no prayer this time, just a silent, hollow aching. Then it happened. It was 3:17 a.m. As Martha sat in the deep shadow of her kitchen, a single powerful beam of radiant light burst through the condensation on the window pane. It didn't illuminate the whole room. It shot straight across the kitchen and landed directly on her, enveloping her in warmth. The sensory impact was stunning. She could feel the heat of it sinking into her cold skin and through the soft blue wool of her cardigan. This wasn't a car headlight or a neighbor's floodlight. It was a pure, steady, golden light that seemed to pulse with life. In that instant, the dark, suffocating loneliness vanished. It was replaced completely by an overwhelming wave of peace and love so profound she couldn't breathe. Martha didn't just think God was there, she knew he was. The presence in that light was gentle, powerful, and utterly comforting. It didn't speak words, but it communicated a clear message. "I see you. You are mine. You are not alone." Martha broke, not in despair this time, but in tears of pure, radiant joy. The light stayed for perhaps 5 minutes, filling her with warmth, while the rest of the world remained in deep shadow. When it finally faded, the kitchen was still dark, but her heart was glowing with an unshakable, luminous hope. The woman who walked into church later that Sunday morning was not the same woman who had huddled in her pew the week before. Martha didn't hide her light. The gray fog was gone, replaced by a resilience that radiated from her. She didn't wait for people to greet her. She walked up to a young, overwhelmed mother and offered to hold her baby, while the mother found her diaper bag. She started volunteering in the church office once a week, realizing her efficiency was a gift she could share. The sensory details of her life returned, but they were now illuminated. The sound of her son's voice on video calls no longer emphasized the distance, but celebrated the connection. Her relationship with him shifted as she spoke less about her gray routine and more about the small daily graces she was noticing. She still lived alone, yes, but she was never lonely. The fortress of routine was replaced by a welcoming hospitality. Her immaculate kitchen finally became a place where neighbors were invited for coffee and real, vulnerable conversation. She even started a small Tuesday morning Bible study for other widows in her area, and they named it the Light in the Blue Cardigan Group. Martha's simple act of faith, of enduring her struggle without losing her light, had become the very tool God used to create a beacon for others. The moral of Martha's story is simple, but it is the heartbeat of grace. You are never as invisible as you feel. The Lord who counts the stars also counts your tears. When you are in your darkest shadow, He is already preparing the light. Sometimes that light is a stranger's smile, and sometimes it is a direct touch of His presence in the night. But you are seen. My dear friend, if you are sitting in the gray fog tonight, wondering if you matter, I want you to remember Martha. Our God is the God who breaks through the mist. Trust that your 3:17 a.m. light is coming. If you believe that God is working in your life right now, even when you cannot see it, type Amen in the comments below. Let us build a community that reflects this light for one another. And please subscribe to Heart of Grace so we can keep walking this journey of faith together. I love you, and remember, His light is shining just for you.